The average new car payment just hit $767 a month. A reliable used car runs about $537. That $230 gap invested every month instead is the quiet line between looking rich and being rich. If you have ever felt the pull toward a financed BMW, a loaded Audi, or anything with a badge that signals you have arrived, this is not about being cheap. It is about what that badge actually costs you over 5 years, and the number is uglier than the monthly payment suggests. If you are 28 to 45 and you have been told that driving something nice is just the natural next step after your income goes up, this is not a lifestyle question. It is an architecture problem. The monthly payment is the price you see. The real cost is invisible. And by the time you see it clearly, you have already paid it. The math behind the $230 gap compounds faster than the car loses value. That is the part they do not put on the window sticker. Let's start with Malcolm. Malcolm is 32 years old. He just got promoted to a senior role. His income jumped. After years of driving a 10-year-old Corolla, he decides it is finally time. He walks into a dealership and drives out in a BMW 3 Series. His payment is $767 a month. He feels for the first time in a long time like the outside matches the inside. The commute suddenly feels different. Meanwhile, his old college roommate Marcus does something that looks almost embarrassing by comparison. Marcus buys a 3-year-old Honda Civic with 38,000 miles on it. His payment is $537. He sets up an automatic transfer the same week for $230 into a brokerage account. He does not think about it again. 5 years later, these two decisions look completely different on paper. We are going to run the full ledger today, not just the monthly payments. The depreciation, the insurance, the compounding, all of it. Because the monthly payment is not the cost of the car. It is just the most visible cost of the car. There's a second number hiding underneath it, and that second number is what this video is about. I'm Malcolm, and this is Dollars into Decades, where we take the math that the financial industry buries in fine print and put it on a whiteboard. If you want more breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it might save you a significant amount of the next thing you earn. Now let's look at what a car payment actually means. When most people evaluate a car payment, they run a simple calculation. Can I afford the monthly number? If $767 fits inside the budget, the car fits inside the budget. That is the mental math. It feels responsible. You're not overextending technically. You are not spending more than you have. But this is what I call the badge tax. The monthly payment is not the full price of the signal you are buying. It is the installment plan for it. And the badge tax has layers that do not show up on the contract. The window sticker shows the price. The financing disclosure shows the monthly number. Neither document shows the compounding cost of choosing that payment over an alternative. That third number, the opportunity cost, is the one that matters most over 5 years. And it is the one the dealership has no incentive to show you. Here is the first layer. Experience Q4 2025 data puts the average new car loan at $43,582 at 6.37% interest. At $767 a month over 60 months, Malcolm sends $46,020 to the lender in cash. That is before he ever thinks about what the car is worth at the end of those 5 years. Kelley Blue Book estimates a 2025 BMW 3 Series holds a residual value of roughly $17,500 after 5 years. The car started at $47,000. It is now worth $17,500. That is $29,500 in depreciation. The bar just started moving. Think of it as a bar chart. One tall bar on the left, that is the $47,000 car Malcolm thought he bought. 5 years later, the bar on the right stands at $17,500. That $29,500 gap in between is wealth that evaporated. It converted into miles and windshield time and parking lot impressions. Every month Malcolm owned the car, roughly $490 of its value disappeared regardless of whether he drove it or not. Marcus's Civic started lower. Civics hold their value unusually well, about 71% after 5 years. And because Marcus bought a 3-year-old car, the steepest part of the depreciation curve had already happened before he bought it. The previous owner absorbed the hit. Marcus stepped in after the cliff. That is the first layer of the badge tax. Depreciation does not care about your income. Here is the second layer, and it is one most people never calculate. Car insurance pricing is directly tied to the vehicle's value and repair costs. KBB estimates 5-year insurance on a BMW 3 Series at roughly $16,850. For the Honda Civic, comparable full coverage runs around $1,275 over the same period. The bar just grew again. That is a gap of about $47,775 over 5 years, roughly $80 a month more, just for insuring the more expensive car. Now, add it together. Payment differential, $230 a month. Insurance differential, $80 a month. The total badge tax is closer to $310 a month. Over 5 years, that is more than $18,500 in additional cash leaving Malcolm's account compared to Marcus. And we have not touched maintenance yet. Consumer Reports data shows luxury European brands run maintenance and repair costs significantly higher than Japanese compact brands. BMW requires premium fuel. Oil changes, costs more. Dealer labor rates are higher. The Civic is designed to be cheap to fix. The BMW is designed to be impressive to drive. Those two design priorities have very different price tags at the service counter. Now hold that $18,500 number while I show you what Marcus did with just the $230 portion. Marcus set up an automatic transfer. $230 the first of every month into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. He did not try to time the market. He did not watch the balance. He just let it run. The S&P 500 has historically returned about 7% annually in real terms after inflation. At that rate, $230 a month over 60 months compounds to roughly $16,500. Before tax, after long-term capital gains on the gains portion, the real after-tax number lands around $16,000. $16,000. Not a number that changes Marcus's life overnight. But here is what that $16,000 actually is. It does not depreciate. It does not need an oil change. It does not cost $80 a month to insure. It just sits there, and then it keeps growing. Here's what Marcus sees when he logs into his account at the 5-year mark. He put in $13,800 of his own cash. Market added $2,700 on top of that. The account reads $16,466 before any tax event. He has not sold anything. He has not triggered a capital gains bill yet. The money is just sitting there, compounding. He could let it run another 5 years at the same $230 a month. At that point, the account crosses $50,000. That is not a prediction. That is arithmetic. Malcolm logs into his loan servicer at the same moment. His payoff balance is roughly $8,000. The car is worth $17,500. He has positive equity technically. But he has sent $46,020 in payments over 5 years for an asset now worth $17,500. The math of that transaction does not improve with repetition. This is what I call quiet wealth. It is the inverse of the badge tax. The badge tax converts your monthly cash flow into a visible signal. Quiet wealth converts your monthly cash flow into a silent, invisible asset. Nobody at the stoplight can see it. Nobody at the office parking lot can see it. But 5 years from now, when Marcus has options that Malcolm does not have, the origin story traces directly back to that $230 automatic transfer set up the same week he bought the Civic. Now here is the objection I hear every time this conversation comes up. You might be thinking, the car is an investment in yourself. You drive to client meetings, you need to show up looking a certain way. The car is part of the professional presentation. I hear this constantly. And it is partially right and mostly wrong. If you are in a profession where arriving in a specific vehicle actually closes deals, certain sales roles, real estate, investment banking, there is a narrow, legitimate case. But most people using this logic are in roles where the client meets them inside the building, never sees the car, and makes zero decisions based on what is in the parking lot. The job does not require the BMW. The ego requires the BMW. And ego is the most expensive subscription service most people never cancel. There is a stronger counter-argument worth taking seriously. Some people will say the right move is to buy new but pay cash, skip the loan entirely, and eliminate the interest. That is correct. If you have $47,000 in liquid savings and have already maxed your retirement accounts, the math changes. But most people in this comparison are not choosing between cash purchase and a loan. They are choosing between two monthly payments. When the choice is $767 finance versus $537 finance, the badge tax is real and the gap is $13,800 in cash over 5 years, minimum. The other thing worth acknowledging up front, a used car is not risk-free. Repair costs are less predictable. Marcus could hit an unexpected repair in year 3 that cost him $2,000. That does not erase the math, it adjusts it. A $2,000 repair against $16,000 of invested capital still leaves Marcus ahead by a significant margin. The Civic breaks even on the badge tax comparison even in a mediocre reliability scenario, and that assumes Marcus bought a random used car. A certified pre-owned Civic with a service history is not a gamble. It is a calculated trade, and Honda's reliability ratings consistently back that calculation. This brings us to the protocol. 3 steps executable this week. Step 1 is to calculate your own badge tax rate. Pull up your current payment or the payment you are considering. Find a comparable, reliable, used alternative, 3 to 5 years old, Civic, Camry, RAV4, Accord, and price out that payment. The gap between those two numbers is your badge tax rate per month. Write it down, not as a budget line, as a monthly investment decision you have not yet made. Step 2 is to route the differential automatically on the same day. Whatever your badge tax rate is, $150, $230, $400, set up an automatic transfer that goes directly into a brokerage account into a low-cost total market index fund. It does not land in checking. It runs on autopilot. You adjust your life to the lower payment and the transfer happens invisibly. The system does the work, so you do not have to use willpower every month. Step 3 is to price future vehicle decisions in freedom units, not dollars. Before any vehicle purchase, calculate the total badge tax over 5 years, payment differential plus insurance differential. Then divide that number by your after-tax daily income. If your take-home is $300 a day and the 5-year badge tax is $18,500, that badge costs you 62 days of your working life. Not 62 pleasant days. 62 days of showing up, fielding the emails, managing the deadlines. For a signal that strangers at a stoplight will forget in 4 seconds. Price it in days, not dollars. The math looks completely different when you denominate in time. Here is where this lands. The badge tax does not buy freedom. It buys the perception of freedom, the feeling of having made it at the cost of the actual ability to make different choices. Every $230 that routes to a dealership instead of a brokerage is a vote for looking wealthy over being wealthy. That distinction matters more the older you get. At 32, the gap between Malcolm and Marcus is $16,000. At 42, if both keep their patterns, the gap is something else entirely. The compounding does not stop at the 5-year mark. It just keeps widening. And the badge tax does not stop either. It resets every time Malcolm buys the next car. Those two things have different compounding curves. Looking wealthy has no compounding curve. It just costs more and more to maintain as your peer group upgrades around you. Being wealthy compounds quietly, invisibly, in the background, until one day the gap between where you are and where your peers are is wide enough that you stop needing to signal anything at all. Marcus does not need anyone to know he is making good decisions. His brokerage account knows. In 5 years, that $16,000 does not just sit there. It becomes the seed of the next 5 years. And the 5 years after that. The badge tax paid on that BMW generates zero future compounding. It paid for 60 months of commutes and parking lot impressions, and then it stopped. Malcolm's car told the story he wanted people to see. Marcus's account is writing the story he actually wants to live. Drop your own badge tax rate in the comments. What is the monthly gap between what you drive now and what you could be routing to a brokerage instead? And if you are someone between 28 and 45 trying to close the gap between income and actual wealth, subscribe to Dollars into Decades. We run this kind of math every week. I will see you in the next one.